An elven warrior trapped on modern-day Earth. Two friends with different destinies meet at a magical school. These are some of the stories we at Electric Lips Comics are working on. You can get your copies of both The Mana Chronicles and Tales of Mithril at elpmerch.com. Support independent creators. Explore the merch featuring exciting ELP Comics art with a wide range of designs. Electric Lips Comics. Imagination electrified.
Welcome everyone to another Conversations of Void. It's our last two special Sunday episodes for this year. We'll see if they're coming back next year. But without further ado, I am pleased to introduce our guest. We've been talking for a little bit now, and I've been looking at his work, and it's been great stuff. So please welcome writer, actor, director with works including The Elevator, The World is Ending, and Internalized. Please welcome to the Void, Destin Bourdon. How's he doing? How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good for Sunday,
Yeah.
Back to the grindstone tomorrow with my regular day job.
yeah, same. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, this is why I do the show. I like to talk to new and old creators, and you are newer to the scene of horror, with movie making too. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show, what really brought you into the world? Like, what made you decide to go into filmmaking with your BA?
Yeah, I mean, even when I was younger, as a kid, I was just writing a lot, and it comes to a certain point of like, well, when you're writing these short stories, what medium do you want to take on? Do you want to write a novel? Do you want to do film? Do you want to do plays? So for me, I just settled on filmmaking, and it just went from there.
Was there anything that, like any particular movie or memory that you had as a child that go, this is why I want to do it?
It's funny. It's so long ago that it just kind of felt or feels like it's just always kind of been there. And I mean, when I was younger, I was watching lots of movies. I have lots of favorites. So I wouldn't say there was one thing, but I think just all that compiled together is really what created that.
Yeah. I remember, I'm quite a bit older than you, but I remember seeing, Halloween Curse of Michael Myers, probably 96, 97, and my buddy having a camcorder, and I go, you know what? We made our first fan film at 12, and I decided, like, I really like this, so I pursued it into high school, but then I stopped for 15 years, and then, now I'm back into it, and this is why I do the show, is just to be able to get creative juices flowing and hear other people's stories that are similar. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good to have that bit of creativity to, from your day-to-day life, from work and everything, and really do something you enjoy.
Yeah. Like, so my co-host and we work at the same job, and he likes to write a lot more than I do, but I like to create and do other stuff. So it's a team. We've been working on this dynamic for a number of years, and it's been great.
That's good.
So, Destin, obviously you work with horror movies. Do you remember what your first horror movie was?
Yeah. Well, I mean, since I've been watching movies for so long, I guess my first horror movies aren't, I don't know if I would classify them as horror in the traditional sense of like things I was watching on like VHS, because my dad had a whole bunch of VHSs. Brendan Fraser's The Mummy, Jurassic Park were some of my favorites to go to. So those were the horror movies that I the scary for a child, those were pretty scary. But then it progresses, things like Scream, and even like The Twilight Zone was something I really loved watching in middle school. So those two were like a very influential part of like that phase in my life, and then just being able to get more access. We did still have a video rental store nearby after all the blockbusters went away. So
right.
being able to get, and this was before, all the streaming services. There was that like little period, so I was able to catch up on some of these other movies.
Yeah, and I agree. We discussed on our other show that we do that Jurassic Park is a science experiment gone wrong, which is not any different than Frankenstein. So I consider that to be a horror movie. You think of all the old 50s and 60s sci-fi movies that were science experiments gone wrong. They're nuclear explosions, still horror in their own way.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's really funny because we do a movie review in another show, and my producer Salem, he goes, "This is his month," and we were watching sci-fi-esque horror movies as well. So I can't wait for us to record the episode to see if people agree with us with them being horror or not. We have that discussion point all the time.
I love that, being able to debate what is considered what, because everything's so vague that you can really make the argument for anything.
Right. We like I said, we did for April 1st, we did what was it, Sleepless in Seattle. Terrifying movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched that for the first time this year too, and I was like, this is not what I was expecting. No.
So with all your backlog and stuff that you've watched, what do you think is the most overrated, overblown horror IP that you can think of? Like, how does make $2 billion, let's say?
Oh gosh, off the top of my head, there's one that I really don't like, which is, and I know a lot of people do, but I could never get into Friday the 13th. That's maybe one of the big IPs that for me, I just couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much everything else I've been able to get into, but yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Jason is okay. He's sad, but
he's iconic. I mean, I won't dispute that. It just, and that's the hard thing with like film, and when I talk to other film people, is when you watch so many films, eventually there's just going to be one that doesn't do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you watch so many movies, oftentimes it is going to be an iconic film.
Oh yeah, for sure. I will not slander, but disagree with most things about The Exorcist and the Conjuring franchise. So
yeah, it's very, and also there's so many genres in horror that some people lean more towards slashers versus supernatural, or there's so many avenues to take that. Yeah, makes sense.
But like I said, everyone likes their horror, and is they're doing it. So what? We don't have to agree as a populace, and that's the great debate you can have with people. Is why do you like this movie versus this movie? So
right.
That's then on the flip side. What is a movie that you find out no one's watched or someone didn't watch it? You go, okay, we're putting this on right now. You're sitting it, and I'm watching you as you watch it.
Like a horror movie that I feel like is underrated, or I feel like not enough people have. Oh gosh, I'm trying to find the right balance between a lot of cinema fans would like to, know about this one, think about the masses. I'll give you a fun one. How about that?
Okay.
Tusk. The
yes.
that one I do love. That one would be a fun one to just not tell your friend what it's about and just have them, react to it in real time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a great way. Like, I got this great Kevin Smith movie for you.
Yeah,
and you watch a guy get turned into a walrus.
Yes, it is my favorite by his. I when that movie came out, I don't know. I just love that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Now, did you watch the new VHS movie Beyond that came out this year?
I didn't. I haven't seen that one.
So something that was interesting to me is that Justin Long wrote one of the shorts for it. And I was watching it a couple days ago. I go, this is Tusk.
Oh, interesting.
Which I go, this is very Tusk. And I'm like, huh, weird. Obviously, he was in it.
Yeah. I wonder if that's maybe he had certain ideas while he was on set. And
yeah. But like I said, it's a great, it's a experiment gone wrong with really a bad ending.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out. I'll put that on.
So Destin, obviously you got your BA in film. So what was that like for you? A lot of people we have on here go to acting school and stuff like that, but especially smaller independent creators haven't really had that degree.
Yeah, For me, I see it as good practice. Just really learning about. I mean, what was great is that it felt very blended. I
Hmm.
feel like I've heard some nightmare scenarios from other people that went to college, to other schools, and it was either mostly all uh, film analysis, or it was just all kind of like the filmmaking process. And
Hmm.
I felt like I got the perfect blend of both to be able to analyze film, but also make it. And uh, for me, I just kind of rushed through school, especially because most of it took place during that COVID time. So
Okay.
I wasn't like doing anything else, you know? So I just kind
Yeah.
of rushed through it. And it was great because one thing that happened was I made friends, and I've been able to get onto their projects and learn even more and meet more people. And that's how I was able to put my crew together, is
Hmm.
because of the people that I met on these other sets from meeting people in college. So it all has this domino effect. Um, yeah, overall, I had a pretty good experience with it.
Yeah, I mean that I agree. Networking is huge, right? It's about people you know, but like I said, it's you want to go be a PA on someone's set, you're on the set. Eat it up, learn what you can, and then take that knowledge to do your own thing too.
Exactly. And learning bits of everything, so you can be,
Hmm.
you know, you never know what you're gonna like until you try it. So
Right. Yeah, I mean, I in high school I was in drama class for 4 years, but I was also part of the theater company. There were two separate things
oh, okay.
run by two different people. So it was a way to hone writing and directing and acting in the class. But then the production company, I did housework, I did lighting, I did sound and set design. So I
Nice.
kind of took that as two different methods of learning kind of everything that involved with a live play.
Right. And you get to appreciate what other people do, and then at the same
Hmm.
point of like, wow, this is really difficult. Like I appreciate having these people do this.
Yeah. But I mean, I think what you did though was you talk about your balance that you had there with the film, you know, analysis, and then making it because you can be a critic, I
Mhm.
think, and understand the pieces behind it. But then, I would feel, correct me if wrong, that you would take that analysis part and then apply it to what you're doing as well, right?
I'm always thinking about it. And I think about it maybe a little too much, because I'm like, if I was writing an essay about this, like what are people reading in between the lines? What are they getting from this? And I mean, I'm still very much a novice, right? I'm starting off into my career.
Hmm.
Um, at least for features, I've done a ton of short films, but I'm taking that next step. And doing college, I was able to think about my own work a little differently.
Yeah. So, I mean, can you tell us a little bit what that's like to go from your shorts that you've done to a feature film? I mean, that's a big step, right?
It is. They do feel like two different things, because most of the short films, or at least everything I did pre-college, um, because when the filmmaking class we did make some short films,
Hmm.
but before that, when I was in high school, I would make shorts, with my best friend. He would sleep over, and we would like come up with a rough script. And to now, where everything's so planned out, and you have a crew and a cast, and it's not just
Hmm.
people, it's 10, you know and even that's small for a feature, but that's just the indie scale that
Yeah.
we're at, 10 to
Right.
15. um it's a huge jump, but I'm learning a lot, and being able to take that time of being on my other my friends' sets, having that transition really helped. um but I like it. I like it being new and different, and I miss doing those shorts with my friend, but it's exciting to get into that next stage.
Hmm. Yeah, I was lucky enough to be part of a group this year. We did a 48-hour film project,
Nice.
and that was crazy to do. It was insane just to be able to get your prompt, and then it was like 47 and a half hours later, turn in the product.
Yeah, they're fun, but they're stressful in the moment,
Hmm.
you know. But it allows your creativity to really get going because you don't have any time to waste.
Right. Yeah. As soon as, because the team I worked with, everyone else is like 3.5 hours away in a different time zone from me that we
gosh.
did this. So they called me and they're like, here's our genre. So then I was writing and kind of editing and I go, all right, let's write it. So we got our genre. We had the layout done was they're driving back. And so they got back like an hour and a half later and we started writing out and filming the next day.
Nice.
It was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot of fun just be able to think on your feet, really, because nothing was preemptive.
Exactly. Yeah, I need to do that more often, if for no other reason, just to get the creative juices, like you said, just flowing.
Yeah, and with you doing feature films, you see yourself still doing shorts as well.
Shorts are tough because you have to condense, so much information in a short period of time. Even when I was in high school, like my teacher at the time, when we would do like shorts, I was really pushing how long I could make a short, for class. He would give me something like 5 minutes and I turned something like 7.5 minutes in, just because I have a hard time with just a couple minute period. I have a couple short scripts of things that are like under half an hour that eventually I would like to get to, but I don't see myself writing anything more in that category. Just focusing on features is my plan.
Yeah. Like I said, I've co-written a feature film. My producer and I were working on other stuff we want to do, but for me personally, I also want to do shorts. I want to do anthology pieces that are short stories that I don't think should be an hour and a half.
Yeah, definitely.
No,
short is great. Yeah.
So I think that's fun for that.
Yeah, and they're good to try. Like sometimes I'll do a short to see like, would this work as a feature? Like, let me test out a little bit and see what the feel is. So I think I will probably use them more for that. But I've just done so many. I love them though. Like I love watching my friends, their projects and seeing them, and yeah.
But you're talking about, we discussed proof of concept. So do you consider your proof of concept a short before you turn into the feature then?
That one I don't think I would consider, just because it is an actual scene from the film.
Okay.
Versus something where I write like a quick thing to condense the story. I mean, you can definitely look at it that way, especially considering that I think we're going to reshoot that part just to have some continuity, between the months of not shooting.
Right.
But I don't know if I would consider that, but like even my producer kind of, I think, considers it a little bit of a short. Like everything with film, it's open to interpretation, however anyone wants to perceive it.
Right. Now, with the different genres you've done with your shorts, stuff like that, do you tend to lean towards more one particular genre, do you think?
Overall, I think I did, with my friend Gabe, we did a lot of comedy. But even like post that, I'm definitely more of a drama person, but I like to blend drama with other genres. So like in this case, it's a drama horror,
Right.
Or my next one, I'm still debating on a couple, but like drama and sci-fi, like mixing two together. So far I've done a lot of comedy. I've done a little bit of horror, but I try and do a little bit of everything just to be well-rounded.
Now, do you with film school? Did you go into the horror world? Do you still say more towards like the I think that most people think is like, oh, we do artsy film school type analysis. But did you dive into the horror side in film school?
It was maybe more towards like my writing classes. We would do a little bit more with the horror stuff, but when it came to actually doing the short films, I only made a couple during college that were for like my class specifically. That like the one that you mentioned, the elevator, was a class project. So you can kind of maybe consider that, just because it's a little like what's going on. And then I did like a documentary, and then I did like a comedy that had ghosts in it, so it kind of blended that horror comedy, I guess, but mostly a comedy.
Right.
So that was at that point I was kind of transitioning to, and that's a period where you're trying to figure out your style and all these things out at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like a lot of people, when they start doing horror movies, they go, "Oh, you're the horror guy. That's all you can do, right?" But you can see someone like Sam Raimi, who arguably made one of the best superhero movies of all time.
Yeah, it's definitely a genre that's good to start off in. I'm always conscious about getting stuck there because I don't want to get stuck there. I love horror movies and I want to make several, but I do want to do a little bit of everything. So that's why I'm kind of, why I blend things, so it can still be considered something else and then
Right.
Rotate genres.
Yeah. Do you ever hope that maybe one day your films will be the ones they're debating? Like, is it more drama or is it horror or is it sci-fi?
Yeah, no, I love that. One day I hope I can go on the internet and see like fan theories and stuff just to, oh, I never considered this, or yep, I planned that, like I hope to get to a stage where, because I think that's really fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I would love to see fan theories of something I did. I would probably go there and troll people, quite honestly.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So we'll see, but it's yeah, no, I love that stuff.
All right, Destin, let's get into a little bit without spoiling anything for Internalized. I know you have the campaign that started about 13ish days ago.
Yeah, we're getting about 13 days. It's a film about internalized homophobia. So I have Logan, he's our main character, and he's kind of getting stuck in this. It's not Groundhog Day, but it feels like it, every day's the same.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the inciting incident is the Grim Reaper visiting him and going like, "Hey, like if you don't change, eventually one day, not soon, but one day I'm going to take you and I want you to live the life that you want without feeling like you're not expressing yourself." And so it's just kind of the journey of the character trying to make those changes, knowing that while the Reaper is there to help, eventually there is going to be a confrontation there, So, but that's been cool, being able to get everyone together and doing Scott in the makeup is really cool. And also having the Grim Reaper be a character that is initially scary, but is actually, Logan's most supportive friend in a way. And I think that's something you don't really see from the Grim Reaper. Mostly it's very scary, but
right.
Yeah, I can feel like the character's a little misunderstood. What is actually the Grim Reaper's role and what do they do? And what do they do when they're not working, is kind of
right. So Grim Reaper's day off.
Kind of basically, yeah, he just figures, hey, I want to help this kid out, A lot of the films that I do have the Grim Reaper. I just think he's a very fun character to have around, kind of almost like my Nick Fury of my own universe,
the Destinverse.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the film. We shot a second thing today, kind of making like a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that went really well. We've been rounding out the cast. So, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So you're in pre-production essentially right now, though, right?
Yes, yeah, we're in pre-production, so we haven't shot the film, so we're doing the fundraising. And for me, I feel like what's important is that I want this film to be something that people can watch and relate to, and hopefully get over their own internalized homophobia, because it's a process, and some people don't get over it. And myself, it took me a long time, and it took me writing this film. And my hope is that spending 90 minutes watching this film might make things easier and realize some of the same things I did. And because for me, it took months, and it's tough. So that's really the basis of why I'm making this film now. And that's the project that I'm doing. But it's been great so far.
Yeah, and it sounds like, just from what you're talking about, it's not a popcorn movie, right? You're not just watching a mindless slasher. That there's nuance and there's characterization that you really want people to think about your work.
Exactly. I want someone to take things from it, and it's horror in the sense of like it's Logan against himself, and
Mm-hmm.
it's all psychological, and the Reaper's there, so there's always that like paranoia of things, and the true horror of never being able to accept yourself for who you are. So it's a little bit more in that vein, but
Mm-hmm.
I personally would still consider that a subgenre of horror.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's as the title calls it, it's internalized.
Exactly.
So what has been with? Like I said, I don't really want to spoil anything, but with the pre-production, what do you see the end goal being? Like, when do you hope to release this movie?
I'm hoping we're planning on shooting early next year, so it should be easy enough to, there's not like green screen stuff we have to edit through and post.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping by the end of next year, maybe like, try and doing like the festivals and all of that is my goal as of right now.
Yeah. Have you submitted anything to something like, say, Tubi or Mobi or anything yet?
Nothing that I've done so far, but I've been talking about it with my DP, and he's really he's very knowledgeable about these things, and so I'll talk to him about potential paths, and so we're still kind of discussing what we want to do with the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll piece of advice right now: if you need someone to create the subtitle file, pay the $150 for someone else to do it. Because I tried doing it one earlier this summer, even with AI. I gave AI 3 passes, did crap with it.
Yeah, I've done them on YouTube a couple times, of even just for like a few minutes and just trying to manually do it, and it takes forever.
It does. Like I said, my hope was that AI would do 80% of it and I would fill in the gaps. It did like 10%.
Yeah, things are not good.
So how's your campaign been going so far for the past 13 days?
It's good. We're at 10% right now. With Seed and Spark, the campaign, we have to hit 80% to get the green light and get all of that money.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going along at a nice pace. 10% is pretty good. So our goal is to get at least to that next 70 in the next, I think, 32 days.
Yeah, because it's 45-day campaign?
That's what we did. Seed and Spark lets you pick between like 30, 45, and 60. And so I hit the 45 one, just because 2 months is a long time to be campaigning.
Right. Now, do you bring your shorts, your POCs, you're bringing it around to like cons and stuff like that, just kind of showcase and bring people into it? Or what's been kind of your marketing so far for it?
Yeah, other than social media, I've put up some flyers around downtown, and we're looking into doing like a live event, like a local thing, and also some other avenues we're taking, as well as just doing like podcast interviews. So just a little bit of everything, trying to see what works, and yeah, that's been our marketing so far.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, I'm not running, but one of my producers and directors from the team I'm on, we're campaigning for our next movie that we're filming here in April, and it's my first time being part and seeing that campaign side. I go, it's a different world.
Yeah, it's tough, and I don't have a background in marketing, so it's kind of learning, and I've learned so much, and it's like, oh, for next time, I know this so much sooner that so I've learned a lot.
Awesome. Well, we're about at that time. Anything else you want to talk about your campaign? I know I have the links in the description below, but I want to give you a chance to say it right now where people can go find it and support it. And you could probably, if you have the link, we can put it in the comments here too, so we have it in replay.
Yes. I think I have this tab open real quick. Basically, we're doing our campaign on Seed and Spark, which is a campaign website.
Mm-hmm.
And let me put the link here. And this is our link for that. And we really appreciate, all the time, even just watching, this interview, and just even looking and seeing if, all the descriptions, watch our proof of concept,
Hmm.
anything helps, whether that's pledging or sharing out on social media. And, you can follow us on Instagram. That's where a lot of our updates are at. Yeah, those are going to be like the two main sources. But yeah, feel free to take a look at that link and see our campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Dustin, let's get into these roundup questions. You ready?
Yes,
Practical or CGI?
practical, always.
Always. Did you
Yeah.
work with CGI in film school at all?
No, we didn't. I mean, the great thing about being in the school is you get to kind of pick the classes.
Okay.
So I think there were some others that maybe if people were going down that route that they could. I didn't see myself going down that route, so I didn't take those classes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. 61 episodes. We still only had one person ever say CGI.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. 60 different people all say all practical, which is great. With younger, newer people like yourself to the older people that we've had on the show too. We're talking 40, 50 years of gap here that everyone's saying practical.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Me too. It's just hard for my eyes to direct something that's not there,
Mhm.
So I like seeing it live.
Yeah. All right. So Dustin, someone knocks on your door and says, "We'll give you $1 million to make a next entry in the franchise." What would that franchise be?
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser?
Yeah, that would probably be my pick. Maybe Saw.
Mm. I think Hellraiser needs a lot of help.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we did a podcast over all the Hellraisers last year or the year before, and man,
Yeah,
once you get past 4 through 10 aren't very good. 5 through 10.
Yeah, even I'm only a big fan of those first two. Even 3 and 4 don't do it for me. Yeah, but I love those first two.
Oh yeah, they are hands-on classics.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I got to meet Ashley Lawrence earlier this year at Days of the Dead, and she was having fun. There was a guy with a big paper mache pinhead that she stood on the table to sign.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was a blast. All right, so Justin, with your work in film school and what you're doing right now, do you have any advice for people starting off and getting into filmmaking?
Yeah, I mean, one that I really feel like is there's a couple that one, even just taking your phone and just shooting something, or even when you're writing, not worrying about editing, just
Mhm.
letting things flow and then seeing the result. And you can always refilm a scene or re-edit a scene, just to get those initial ideas out. That way you can come back later, because then otherwise you might lose a thought or something. And that's really the biggest thing, is to not worry about editing anything until later.
Mm-hmm. That's good advice. You're always thinking okay, how do I do this now, right? I think that's a hard part of the brain to turn off as you're filming.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's never too late to go and like I said, redo it. And even shooting something, um, don't we're not all going to be, the Scorseses of, film on day one. I don't even know if I'll ever get there. It's just about the process and the learning, and you're always learning. And to not worry about that so much, but do what you love and enjoy the process of it instead of stressing about it.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, you ready for your random horror trivia question?
I am. Yeah.
All right. 20 years after a tragic high school play incident, students break into their school to vandalize the set of what fictional play?
Is it The Gallows?
It is.
Yeah. Wow. I'm surprised. I was a little worried, but I have seen that one. I have.
It's fantastic. I love it.
Yes, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember really liking it.
Yeah, like I said, number 2, not so good. Number 1 is pretty good.
Oh, I didn't even realize that they made a second one.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I guess
they definitely did.
yeah, probably why I didn't know, because I guess it was bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, Dustin. So before we sign off, give us all your social media handles where people can follow you and find you and learn everything about you.
Yes. At, I believe, Destin Bourdon on like Instagram is me. There might be an underscore in between the two names. And then there's like the at internalized film on Instagram as well. Those are Instagram's really the only social media I use. I mean, I have Facebook, but I don't use it too often. So Instagram's the place to go to get in contact with me.
Awesome. Anything else you want to share before we close out for the show?
No, other than I appreciate having me on, and everyone who's watching, and this has been fun. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So thank you, Destin, for joining us. And as always, I'm Gregor. Follow us on all social media at PodOutatNight. And we are starting our 4th leg, I guess, of horror. Movie reviews, interview shows, making movies, and soon Twitch gaming. So we are branching out even more with what we're doing. So make sure to check all that out, and make sure to check out Destin's links and the link to his campaign, which is in the description below. I'll be blasting it on social media as well later today. So thank you, Destin, for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Don't get lost in the void. Good night.
Thank you.